Needs $700,000. On November 6, 2015, a Reddit user named Bangarang made a deeply concerning and odd post on the site reading,
"Need $700,000. What do? I need it by January 2016 or I'm dead from the mob. What are my options though?"
If this was posted in subreddits like r/advice or r/helpme, people would have taken it more seriously. However, for whatever reason, Bangarang decided to post this plea for help in r/sadboys. This is a subreddit for the fans of the Sad Boys music collective that emerged in the early 2010s, primarily associated with Swedish rapper Young Lean and his music group, so a completely unrelated post like this left most people confused about what it meant.
Not sure if this is real. So confused. What is this?
Some users wondered if this was some obscure reference to Sad Boys music.
Is this a reference to Lean being worth $700,000?
However, most users quickly realized that Bangarang was serious when you begin responding to some of the less serious joke comments with sincere replies.
"Let me ghostwrite your next mixtape. I need all the help I can get."
But that's when the post took a disturbing turn. One user jokingly told the OP to end it by jumping off a bridge and shoot himself while falling. However, instead of getting offended, Bangarang replied with something that made everything way more unsettling.
"Think they'll get to me before I can make any moves."
He also shared a link to a haunting photo showing a group of men standing in the middle of a street, with several cars lined up behind them. The framing of the image made it seem as though the OP had taken it while hiding in the bushes, watching from a distance too afraid to be seen. By this point, people were eager for answers. After some back and forth in another thread, Bangarang finally revealed what had led him to this moment.
"Was involved in a fight where an 18-year-old kid was killed. I was on drugs and had a bad temper. I was always protective of my friends, especially John. John was in a band and was taking off. He had a Facebook page, so he deactivated it. He made a new one. One of his friends that made a new one got real mad that he deleted the old page and thought he didn't want anything to do with her or his old friends because of the new fame and band. John tried to explain to her that wasn't the case. When he tried to, I peered over John's shoulder, read their texts, and got heated. I started trash-talking the girl. She got her boyfriend's friends to meet me and my friends out in the desert for a brawl. One of the guys there was with the gang members' guys group and pulled out a gun to shoot me and my friends. One of my friends grabbed the gun from him and ended up shooting the guy and killing him, the dude that pulled out the gun in the first place. Then, after the fight, I violated my probation. The cops were already after me for drug use. They found out I was involved in the fight and the shooting of the guy, and they added the battery charge. I wasn't charged with murder, but was involved in the fight, which is why they added assault and battery charges, plus the probation violation. But I continued with drug use and violated my probation by leaving the state. Now I'm sobered up, I just turned 23, and I'm in a real bad place with some people from the past.
Although these responses gave some crucial context to OP's situation, they still didn't explain why the mob was after him now, or how having $700,000 would keep him alive. By this point, the jokes had stopped. It was becoming clear that this was likely real. Finally, one user spoke up, voicing what everyone else had been thinking.
"First of all, why are you posting this here? Second, run, get out of town."
To which Op replied,
"I got no one."
After learning about his sheer helplessness, user PizzaMan2345 chimed in with some detailed and practical advice to help Bangarang escape with his life.
"Get yourself into jail and tell them to safely escort you to an airport afterwards. If you warn them about the mob and spread the word, the police will look stupid if you die soon afterwards. Then, if you do get to the airport, take several planes to several places and settle down somewhere far away. No matter how uncaring a police department is, they should listen to your plea for help. It might also help if you have a writer friend who can tell the whole story if they don't escort you. Let the police know as a last resort that they will be flamed online for not dealing with the mob themselves and for letting you loose, only for you to die right after. This of course involves you being in jail for a while, which if not the case leads me to say that you should simply leave the country now. Use your head, don't drug your problems away, either work hard and loan the rest or just run."
Unfortunately, we may never know if the advice helped him. Just a day after making the original post, Bangarang stopped responding to comments and has remained silent on Reddit ever since. As for whether his story was real, there's no way to be certain. The account was likely a throwaway created the same day as the post. I even tried reverse image searching the photo he shared. While I found many similar images online, none were an exact match or predated the Reddit thread. And since Bangarang never mentioned his location, I couldn't track down any relevant news articles from that time either. Most users in the original thread believe OP was eventually caught and killed by the mob, but now, more than 9 years later with no updates, since the truth will probably remain a mystery forever. Dog operation. On the 31st of March, Reddit user City, State posted a disturbing entry on the Reddit Bureau of Investigation subreddit. The title of the entry was, "What could have been the reason why someone operated on my dog?" It read, "I originally posted this to another sub, now deleted, and was insisted that I repost this here. Instead, I live alone in a suburban area, and when I go out, whether it's for work, social gathering, shopping, or whatever, I leave my dog. He's a Labrador to play in my backyard with plenty of food and water. He's a pretty healthy dog, normal weight, and had nothing wrong with him. I would say I live in a pretty safe neighborhood and never had anything bad happen to my dog while I was away yesterday. I came back home from work in shock to see that my dog had been stitched up. In shock, I immediately rushed to him, called, and took him to a vet. I visit the vet for checkups, so the vet knows him strangely. The doctor who was inspecting him said that whoever was operating on him actually did a pretty good job, and for whatever reason took out part of his fad. The wounds are of both his lower and upper belly pictures here. Luckily, he isn't in any danger, but the doctor said he would be in some pain for some weeks. Normal for wounds. I was prescribed painkillers and antibiotics for my dog. I was also given a cone for him to wear, so he wouldn't lick his wounds naturally. I asked him if a Labrador came into the vet today, as in yesterday, and he and the receptionist said no, and they said to their memory it's the first time they saw my dog that day. So this got me and my doctor thinking either someone operated on him or someone took him to another vet and got him operated for whatever reason. In the meantime, I have reported this to the police and have called other vets around my town, and no luck. As of yet, due to this, I am still unsure what could have caused this. Who and why would someone take parts of fat out of my dog? I don't have any enemies nor any past relationship partners come to mind who may do this. I've also spoken to some neighbors and they said they didn't notice anything strange around the neighborhood or near my house. People on Reddit quickly began speculating about what could have happened. Some wondered if this was the work of a medical student looking to practice or a budding serial killer, but neither theory made much sense. No rational medical student would risk ruining their career by performing surgery on a random dog when safer options like ethically sourced cadavers are available. As for the serial killer theory, it seemed unlikely. Why would they go through the trouble of cutting open a dog, stitching it back up and returning it to the owner, instead of simply disposing of the body? However, there were some more reasonable theories. Some suggested that the dog might have injured its stomach while jumping over the fence, and someone saw the wounded animal, took it to a vet for treatment, and then returned it to OP's yard. Another theory was that the dog successfully jumped the fence, but got hit by a car, and the driver, feeling guilty, took it to the vet before dropping it back off after the operation. A major flaw in both of these theories is the absence of any note explaining what happened. If it was an accident, the person might have feared getting into trouble, but even then leaving an anonymous note would have been the right thing to do. A comment from user Banana Phone quickly rose to the top as it offered a more plausible explanation for what might have happened during the op's absence.
That rubber thing sticking out appears to be a Penrose drain, which is most commonly used to allow a wound to weep and drain through the hole where it comes out of the skin, which prevents the skin from closing into a pocket and turning into a huge infected abscess, which requires secondary treatment and antibiotics. This is most commonly seen in my personal professional experience after bites from another animal, as the bacteria in dog/cat mouths can be difficult to totally disinfect after the fact and often leads to abscesses. While the general consensus is that dog mouths are cleaner than cats, there's still plenty of bacteria in your average dog's mouth that could lead to infection. That drain will need to be removed in a few days to a week after the risk of infection is passed. My guess would be, with the size of the incision, another dog got into a fight with yours, whether it jumped the fence into your backyard and picked the fight itself, or somehow your dog was accidentally able to be out of his fence, and the owner felt guilty but did not want to get sued or put their dog down. I double this hypothesis because if they put him back, they knew where he lives, and that means he was probably inside the fence when the incident occurred, and hiding the conflict probably means his dog has a history of aggression, to the point where it jumped your fence and attacked. I suspect a pellet/gunshot less, because anyone who would shoot a dog in its own yard is probably not going to have the moral compass to get it treated.
Another user, Decent Writer, also backed this theory with a personal anecdote, reading,
I'm almost 100% sure someone who has a dog with a bite history attacked your dog and they did not want to get caught. I have a dog with a bite history. If he bit someone or an animal a second time, it would be disastrous, and myself and my partner would both be in jail. They likely got off with a small charge the first time and are on probation, already paying out a ton of money to whoever was the first victim and cannot risk a second person suing them. We've been going through the process for our one dog bite for over 2 years. It has been miserable every single step of the way, and I'm sure that's what has happened here. I'm sorry, it sucks so much. Hopefully they feel guilty and come forward to you one day, in which case you have 2 years from the day of the incident to sue them in a civil court case. I know this because I'm on the other side of that civil lawsuit as we speak. That said, after further questioning from other users, the OP shared additional details about the situation, debunking many of these theories in the process. Edit. People have been asking about my fencing. I am about 5'8", and the main fencing is taller than me. The side fence is about half my height. However, there are other properties around those fencing. So if another dog, for example, got in, I would think that neighbors would have noticed, as the other dog would have needed to go through their properties first before reaching mine. People also are asking if my dog is known for jumping over stuff. No, he's not. So that's why I don't think he hurt himself while jumping over the fence. But that doesn't mean another dog jumped over to him. One of my neighbors, right next to the one of my shorter fence, has a dog of his own. But it's a small poodle, and I don't think they could have done that to a Labrador. Plus, neither of them has shown aggression to each other, from what I've seen. They usually don't even pay each other's mind. No other organs are missing, according to the vet, just the fat removal. It was not a car crash. He has no bones broken, bruises, or anything like that. There was blood, but only around him, normal amount, not anything crazy. So either someone did it and cleaned it, or it was done elsewhere. The picture was taken the day after the vet, the day I made this post, after they examined and gave him a proper clean around the wounds. At least one of my neighbors in the surrounding fencing has a camera, to my knowledge. The footage has been examined by the police and myself, and we couldn't see anything out of the ordinary. The police said they will be going around to see for any other footage.
However, with this new information, OP mentioned something that made many people question whether the story was real in the first place. They stated that they had been away at work from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., a total of 5 hours. As one user pointed out, that's usually not enough time for someone to take a dog to a vet, have a full surgery completed, and return it without being noticed.
This whole thing strikes me as suspicious. I've worked in both private practice and ER. OP says they were gone for 5 hours. Even if it happened right when they left, 5 hours is a really short amount of time for this size of wound repair when you factor in anesthesia, sedation, clipping, cleaning. Sometimes takes longer than the actual suturing to remove hair, debris, dirt, etc. Then flushing and cleaning the wounds, cutting the skin to remove sections that wouldn't heal well, then actually suturing it, including drains, post-anesthesia/sedation recovery. White dogs plus a bunch of blood requires a bath to remove all the blood. Not to mention the time it takes to get the dog there, check the dog in, get consent for treatment, discharging and explaining meds, paying for it, getting the dog back to OP's yard.
But this raises the question, could the surgery have been done within that time frame? If it wasn't performed in a professional veterinary hospital, perhaps the person responsible had a surgical background and carried out the procedure themselves off the books. However, this is purely speculation. Unfortunately, not long after this update, OP deleted their account and never shared any further updates. Before disappearing, they did mention that the police were investigating the incident as a criminal case. However, with 4 years of complete silence since then, it's unlikely we'll ever know if anything came of it.